Today we've got one of the buses up on the lift. I've got Todd here just to show you how to do the oil change.
So what you want to do is locate your oil drain. This is this on the bottom of your motor. You're going to see a 21 millimeter large bolt here and then several 10 millimeters around the outside. So what we want to do first is we want to drain the oil. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 21 millimeter. You can use a crescent wrench if you want to. And you just want to break loose that center bolt. And what this will do is this will drain all the engine oil out. So we're going to do that first here. Make sure you have a nice container to catch it. And it's about 2.5 quarts, so make sure you have a container large enough to catch what you have. And I always like to run the motor for a few minutes too beforehand to make sure the oil's warm and to get all the particulates up into the oil and out.
Okay, now the oil's been drained out, we're going to do the next step.
So the next step is we're going to remove these 10 millimeter bolts. And what we're going to do is when we remove those 10 millimeter bolts, this plate will come down and off. And you're going to get a lot of oil pouring out. It's going to be a little messy. So again, make sure you have your tray underneath. And what I always do is I take like another tray like this, because when I remove this plate, there's going to be a screen up inside there too. And that's basically your oil filter. And I'm going to stick them into this and then we're going to clean them. But it's quite messy. So make sure you have something extra on the side. And what I like to do is, you're going to get oil on your tools. I like to open the far away ones first. And these aren't very tight. They're only about 5 to 7 foot-pounds. So make sure you don't over tighten these when you tighten them back out. Okay, we've got all our 10 millimeter nuts removed. And there are a few gaskets or little washers you're going to see on here. You can throw those out. Those are not reusable. We put new ones on with the gasket set. So what we want to do is you're going to grab this plate and you could kind of sometimes pull it. Sometimes it may need a little help if somebody puts gasket sealer on there. Try not to mar any of the surfaces. And you're going to have obviously oil coming out as well. And it gets messy here. So. Put that over there. And then up in here, this is old gasket material you can pull off. You're going to see this is your screen. Now this may be glued in here. And I may have to get a razor up in here or something to pry it off, which we'll do on the camera, but just to give you an idea, you can see it up in here. Let me go ahead and get it loose.
Good.
Okay, so I've got the gaskets broken loose, and here's the screen. You pull it out, and basically that's your filter. You can see all the debris, see all the dirt in here. So what we're gonna do is set that aside, and we're gonna take those and clean those. And we will let this sit and drain while we clean those other parts.
Go.
Okie doke, so here we have the cleaned screen, as you can tell, and we have the cleaned plate from underneath. There's 2 gaskets. One goes here, then your screen, and then your other gasket goes up against the case. So what we're going to do is first, we're going to take this, and we're going to put the gasket and the screen up inside. We take the next gasket over that. Be kind of careful. This is a bit tricky. Put that up over. Then what we'll do is we'll take one of the 10 millimeter nuts, and your gasket set, your oil change gasket set, comes with these small copper washers. I'll show them to you in a second. And we are going to put the copper washer on first, and then your 10 millimeter nut. See how that goes? And that's that. And then you repeat it for each one of these. Okay, so we've got all the 10 millimeter nuts on with the small copper crush gaskets underneath. These only are torqued to 5 foot-pounds. I mean, that's very, very low. This is a torque wrench that's in inch-pounds. So obviously 5 foot-pounds multiplied by 12 is 60 inch-pounds. So I'll set it to 60 inch-pounds. I'll do them by hand first just to get them snug. You don't want to go too tight because they're very small, and you don't want these pulling out of the engine case. Could be a big trouble. So then I'll take this.
Yep.
So we've got the torque wrench here, and we'll go back through and we'll torque these to 5 foot-pounds. And I always go across. Go from here to here to here to here to here to here. And this is a clicking one. I can feel it click. You might not hear it on the video. And if you don't know how to use a torque wrench, obviously you can go online to YouTube and they'll show you how to properly use one. Then last, after we've torqued all these to 5 foot-pounds, you're going to put the new copper gasket on the drain plug. And tighten this. I think the specs on this is 26 foot-pounds. I'm just going to tighten it by hand for right now and then torque it off camera. I recommend, if you can't find racing oil, modern oils don't have a product called ZDP in them anymore, which is a zinc product. Long story short, it's bad for catalytic converters. The government's taken it out, but old cars need it. So what you want to do is you want to use a racing oil or a diesel oil. Here is a heavy duty diesel engine oil, and then here is Rotella, which is Shell's diesel, heavy duty diesel. This has the zinc in it, so recommend using that. I recommend like a 10W30 is perfect for all year round. I like to pour it in a quart like this. It's easier to put it into the motor. We come over, we remove the oil fill cap, and I like to put in a funnel. Then if I have it in a large thing, sometimes I'll use a funnel, sometimes I won't. Let me see. And go slow because it likes to burp and it'll backspill on you, so go very slow. And we'll be back in a minute. So we've got our oil in, and what we use is 2.5 quarts. Don't use any more, don't use 3. We want 2.5. 2 1/4 to 2.5 is fine. Make sure your lid's shut. Get down here, this is your dipstick. I like to let it rest for a few minutes before I check it. You push it all the way down in, pull it out, then take a nice rag, clean it off, and we're gonna insert it again. And then let it sit. I like to count, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Then bring it out and you're gonna check. And you can see on this one, it's wet right up to the top line. Here's your low line and here's your high line. You want to be somewhere in the middle. I like to be, this is a fresh oil change, so 2.5 quarts is right to the top. You don't want to go over. If you go over, you could blow your main seal in the engine, so you don't want to do that. You want to stay right between 2 and 2.5 quarts. So you take that, insert it back in, and that's it.
I'm just going to check for the oil pressure, which is this light right here. That's what you want.